I never thought I'd find myself swiping through Tinder at 38, but here I was, freshly divorced and craving a connection, any connection, to fill the hollow ache of loneliness that clung to me like a second skin. The air in my dimly lit apartment felt suffocating, heavy with uncertainty, as I sat on the edge of my couch, wondering if I'd ever truly find happiness again, or if I was destined to roam this world alone. Then, just like a spark in the dark, I saw him, Kyler, with his warm smile that seemed to promise understanding and soulful eyes that ignited something deep within me, a flicker of hope I had long thought extinguished. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the screen. I didn't want romance, just companionship. But the chemistry was undeniable, crackling between us like a live wire, making my heart race and my pulse quicken. When we matched, a wave of excitement washed over me, quickly followed by a tide of fear. This was uncharted territory, and I felt like a ship lost at sea without a compass, unsure of how to navigate the storm ahead. Our first conversation was a dance of laughter and shared tales of our messy divorces. But beneath the surface, I sensed an undercurrent of something deeper, an unspoken desire threatening to sweep us both away. Kyler was unlike anyone I'd ever met. He spoke with a confidence that both intoxicated and intimidated me, drawing me in like a moth to a flame, despite the risk of getting burned. As days turned into weeks, our friendship blossomed into something vibrant yet fraught with tension. I could see the flickers of desire in his eyes, and it terrified me, sending chills down my spine. I kept my walls high, a fortress built from past hurts, reminding myself that rushing into anything with someone exploring an open relationship was dangerous territory, a minefield I wasn't ready to traverse. Yet, every time we met for coffee or shared a meal, I felt the boundaries between us dissolve just a little more, the air thick with unacknowledged longing, leaving me breathless. It was during one of those afternoons, as we laughed over memories of our pasts, that he reached out and brushed my hand lightly, sending a shockwave through my body that lingered long after he pulled away, igniting a yearning I couldn't ignore. I laughed it off, but inside, I was a storm of conflicting emotions, caught in a tempest of wanting to pull him closer and the instinct to push him away, terrified of the vulnerability that came with intimacy. One night, after an intense discussion about love and trust, Kyler looked at me, vulnerability etched across his face, and said, "Bridget, I don't want to just be friends." His words hung in the air like a heavy fog, suffocating and disorienting, and I panicked, retreating into my mind, hurling excuses for why we couldn't be more than this, desperate to shield myself from the truth. But deep down, beneath my layers of denial, I was terrified of how much I already cared for him, how much I wanted to let him in, despite the risks that loomed like dark clouds on the horizon. As our friendship deepened, I found myself entwined in his life, meeting his friends, feeling a sense of belonging I hadn't tasted in years, yet each moment was tinged with an unshakable fear of losing him. But every time I saw him with someone else, even in casual encounters, jealousy clawed at my insides, igniting an unexpected rage that made me question my own emotions and the strength of my resolve. I was losing myself in the chaos of wanting him, while knowing I couldn't fully have him. Not yet. Not while he was still exploring the boundaries of an open relationship that felt like quicksand beneath my feet. One evening, at a party he invited me to, I watched him flirt with another woman, laughing and leaning in close, and the weight of my feelings crashed down on me like a tidal wave, threatening to drown me in despair. In a moment of heated frustration, I confronted him outside, my heart racing and voice trembling with raw emotion. "Why do you keep doing this to me?" My words felt like a plea and an accusation, intertwined. His eyes widened in surprise, confusion flickering across his face as he stepped closer. "I thought you wanted this too, Bridget. I thought we had something special." In that moment, the air thickened with unspoken truths, the realization that we were both dancing around the same fire, too scared to leap into the flames that beckoned us closer. I exhaled sharply, the tension in my body releasing slightly as I admitted, "I do want this, but I'm terrified of getting hurt again." My vulnerability hung between us, a fragile thread connecting our hearts. He nodded, his expression softening, and for a moment we stood in silence, the world around us fading as all that mattered was the connection we were forging, fragile yet powerful. But the next day my heart plummeted when I woke up to a message from Kyler. He was seeing someone else more seriously, and it felt like a dagger to my chest, sharp and unforgiving. I tried to convince myself it was for the best, that I was better off without the complications. But the ache of loss settled in my chest like a stone, heavy and unrelenting. Days turned into weeks as I distanced myself, trying to suppress the feelings I had for him. But every time I saw his name pop up on my phone, my heart raced with a mix of hope and dread, a cruel reminder of what could have been. One rainy evening, unable to hold back any longer, I called him, my voice trembling as I confessed, "I can't just be friends with you, Kyler. It's too painful." His silence on the other end felt like an eternity, stretching out between us like an unbridgeable chasm, and when he finally spoke, his voice was low and raw. "I've been feeling the same way, but I didn't know how to say it." We met up that night, both of us soaked from the rain, and the moment I saw him, all the walls I'd built around my heart crumbled like a house of cards in a storm, leaving me exposed and vulnerable. He pulled me into an embrace that felt like home, and in that moment, I realized that the thrill of love was worth the risk of heartbreak. A gamble I was finally willing to take. But even as we kissed under the streetlights, I knew we were still standing on shaky ground, both of us carrying the scars of our pasts like heavy burdens on our backs. As our relationship deepened, I struggled with trust. The ghost of jealousy loomed over every encounter, whispering doubts into my ear, sowing seeds of insecurity that threatened to choke my heart. I wanted to believe in him, in us, but his past choices haunted me like shadows in the night. And I often questioned whether I was enough to keep him from wandering again, spiraling into the darkness of doubt. One night, after an argument about our boundaries, I broke down, tears streaming down my face as I cried out, "Why can't we just be happy?" My voice was raw, laced with desperation and longing. Kyler looked at me, pain etched on his face. "I don't want to lose you, Bridget, but I need time to figure this out." His words were a bitter reminder of the fragility of our love, a thread that felt perilously thin. In that moment, the reality of our situation hit me hard. We were two people trying to navigate love amidst our broken pieces, and it was far from easy, each step forward fraught with uncertainty and fear. I felt the weight of my expectations crashing down on me, realizing that love isn't always a fairy tale. It's messy and complicated, a series of choices made in the dark, searching for light. As the weeks passed, we found ourselves in a delicate dance of love and uncertainty. Both of us longing for stability, yet unsure of how to attain it, caught in a whirlwind of emotions that left us breathless. We fought, we laughed, we cried, and sometimes we hurt each other in ways we didn't mean to. But through it all, we learned what it meant to be vulnerable, to lean on each other amidst the chaos. I started to pray again, not for answers, but for strength, hoping that whatever happened, I would find a way to navigate this tumultuous sea of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. And then one day I had an epiphany. Love isn't just about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about choosing each other every single day, flaws and all, embracing the messiness of it all. I looked at Kyler, who was standing beside me, the sunlight catching his eyes, and realized that he was worth the risk, worth the chaos, a beautiful contradiction I couldn't resist. I took a deep breath and said, "Let's stop trying to define what this is and just be together however that looks." My voice trembled with hope, a plea for authenticity in the face of uncertainty. His smile lit up my heart, and in that moment, I knew we were both ready to embrace the uncertainty, to love fiercely despite the scars we carried, to write our own story together. But the journey was far from over. Life threw challenges our way, and we had to continuously fight for each other, to choose trust over doubt, battling the demons of our pasts with every step we took. As we navigated the complexities of our relationship, I learned that love is a choice, an act of courage, and sometimes it's about finding beauty in the brokenness, creating something extraordinary from the fragments of our lives. In the end, our love story wasn't perfect, but it was ours. A beautiful mess filled with laughter, tears, and the promise of tomorrow. A testament to our resilience and the power of love. Thank you for watching. We find and tell real stories told in the first-person perspective, and we change names to ensure the people remain anonymous. If you like this video, check out our other videos on our I Love You Too channel. As always, like and subscribe to support our channel.